MovieWeb.com.
If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite.
Wake up!
These days, you have to be a politician or an assassin or something to really be a superstar.
You're all a bunch of slaves! How long are you gonna let them push you around?
We have taken out 2 warrants for Jim Morrison. One of them is for indecent exposure.
I'd like them to give the music a chance.
I mean, listen, a lot of people have said that there were elements of the punk movement that came straight out of the Doors.
That's interesting. Yeah, what do you think about that, John?
Well, yeah, we were angry.
Well, you were breaking things down.
I mean, the punk thing was cool because it kind of, the hippies got a little overindulgent, and the punks shored us right up.
Right. Iggy Pop was a huge fan. Did you?
You know what was
that, right?
cool? I always thought of. I would think of the first punk album as Elvis Costello. My Aim Is True, I think it's called. He made it for 10 grand or something. Meanwhile, some of us were making records for 200 grand, big stars. And it just really shored it down. That's why I think L.A. Woman, we went back in the studio and did it in our rehearsal room real quick. And it was maybe the first punk album, then Elvis Costello.
Interesting.
All right, anyway.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Tom, you did such a great job of really setting the tone of the 60s and the counterculture movement, and the hippies and everything was going on. But in a sense, the Doors were kind of beyond that. They weren't really so. How was it sort of setting that tone for today's audience to understand?
Well, it was, listen, the last thing you wanted to do with this movie was to make it like a throwback to, the happy glory days of flower power or any of that, because that's just as much a bunch of bullshit as anything. And so what I had to do was to try to isolate what it was that I felt was really honest and powerful about that moment. And there was a great moment in this country. And I hope that we have another one. I hope we have it soon. Because the moment that existed was everybody kind of went, wait a second, no. They said, no, we don't like that. Young people, you know what, don't just think that we're stupid, right? We can think about things, and just because you're in a position of authority, fuck you. I'm serious. That is a healthy thing for any society. I mean it.
So, but Tom does show a little bit of the 60s, but then he shows us, and we're kind of the dark underbelly we're the undeclared Vietnam War, Yeah. So you go, oh, okay.
See, it's true that I think the Doors were a little bit ahead of it all.
The curve, yeah.
They were. I would not say you guys were hippies. Would you?
Well, no, but I am.
No.
Well, I wanted to
I've
also
always
ask,
been a hippie, just like Neil Young, but Neil says he's a rich hippie.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I wanted to ask because Ray's actually said that this film would be the true movie of the Doors. It'd be the anti-Oliver Stone film. And I was just wondering, A, as a director, was there any pressure to sort of not repeat that? And B, how you sort of feel about that film and that depiction of the band?
Well, I like Oliver's movie, and I think Val Kilmer should have got nominated. This movie has the real deal. This is not actors. Oliver's movie is about a self-destructive artist, which is a valid choice, certainly. This movie has more of the period in it, so you get a feel for what we're representing. And you get Jim you know, as a kid, laughing, sitting on the Santa Monica Pier, and then you see this transition into tragedy. You know, Oliver's movie could have used a little humor in that area. I still respect it, but I'm very pleased that Tom has found a way to show a more rounded picture.
Well, that was the intent. If there was anything that I was reacting to from seeing Oliver's film was just that, saying, well, you know, my films tend to kind of go a little and go into areas that I can trust that people will find them interesting. Okay, something doesn't have to only be interesting if it crashes you on the head with you know, depression or excessiveness, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's interesting just to see, you know, Ray Manzarek's hand playing, you know, the bass after you've sort of mentioned it. To me, that's one of my favorite moments in the film. You see, there he is. There's that hand, you know. But as John said, I thought if this is the anti-Oliver Stone film, it's only in that this, as John said, it's the real group. It's an attempt to show all aspects of them, you know, and I think ultimately it makes them even more interesting.
Yeah, well, you accomplished something.
It's an addition to the Doors' legacy.
An extension.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Doors.